I did, that no act is the bill that it began as. Bills metamorphosise during their consideration, and wise governments listen to arguments that are made during scrutiny, either on the floor of the House or in committee. And the best ministers allow the bill that they introduced to change over time. That's the purpose of Parliament, and my honourable friend has done a service to this House in bringing this new clause and therefore allowing the Minister to improve the bill in the way that my honourable friend suggests. Now, as we've debated this bill over time, a distinct difference has emerged, a difference between practicalities and principle. And the question remains, is this a bill built on expediency, a necessary response to the unbearable tension between prison supply and the demand for prison places? Or is it a bill born of a distaste for incarceration as a means of delivering justice? The first is inexcusable, the second is indefensible, but neither is inexorable. In practice, as the Honourable Lady said, by the way, if remand were treated in a different way, and that essentially is about more court sittings, more court time, the faster access to justice, then fewer prisoners would be kept on remand, because if we don't believe that, we'd have to assume that every person brought to trial would be found guilty or imprisoned. That certainly can't be true. If we dealt with the huge number of foreign national offenders more swiftly, I know the government's making those attempts, but not enough, any more than the previous government. Even more than the previous government did. Any more than the previous government did, then we would alter the demand for places. For too much of the debate focuses on the supply of prison places and not the demand-side drivers that absorb places that could be eased. Now, we talked last time about my ideas for supply-side change, and I won't repeat myself, for, Madam Deputy Speaker, you wouldn't allow me to do so in relation to the amendments before us today. But the Minister needs to think more laterally, more creatively. I imagine he's a bright man, or brightish at least, and if he does so, he could look at those demand-side drivers and deal with the practicalities. As for principles, it's time to end the liberal orthodoxy which has perpetuated the pervasive myth, the nonsense, the crime is an illness to be treated, and not a destructive, deviant decision which warrants punishment. I heard a lot when we debated this last time, and I've no doubt it underpins much of the resistance to the amendments today, that everyone deserves a second chance. And as I listened to my honourable friend's powerful case a few moments ago, I asked myself this question: can anyone in this place with a heart believe those who terrorise and torture children persistently, who maim and murder innocent babes, sometimes their own, deserves a second chance? Can anyone with a heart really believe that those who killed two people dedicated to the service of others, Joe Cox and David Amos, members of this House, deserve a second chance? Or those who, that awful, self-deluded Islamist fanatic who plotted and planned and executed little girls at a pop concert, do they deserve a second chance? The second chance they deserve is when they stand before their Maker. That's the only second chance they deserve, and beg for forgiveness. For us to forgive such extreme acts is to play God. Forgiveness at that level, to that degree, is beyond anyone in this chamber, beyond any human being. So that's what I think about second chances. And every time we make that case, we displace the proper attention we should give to victims, as several of these amendments, particularly those in the name of my honourable friend, attempt to do. He has been a champion of victims, as I've said before, and I'm afraid to say again, and he deserves great credit for being so. So we must again in advancing the amendments before us today, make a principal case for just desserts. Just desserts essentially means that people get what they deserve. Those who choose, by any means, including violence and deception and the hurt they do to others, to get what they want, deserve to be punished. It is so true, so obvious, so intuitively right that that's the case, that of course it's what the overwhelming majority of decent, law-abiding people feel. It's what our constituents expect us to recognise and act upon. And those who suffer from the fear and reality of crime are frustrated, to say the least, that the old order, the liberal orthodoxy, which has dominated public discourse for too long, doesn't recognise that plain fact. So I think it was Chesterton who said that tolerance is the value of a man without convictions, and we hear a lot about tolerance, but we have far too little about convictions. That old order is out of tune with popular sentiment, and it's out of time, and yet the Sentencing Council perpetuate those prejudices, which is why it must go. It represents that old bankrupt